Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about the North Node transiting the ninth house in a natal chart. Now, on average, the North Node will traverse a house for approximately a year and a half. However, if your house size is a little bit larger than average, then the North Node will be in there for a little bit of a longer duration. If your house size is a little bit smaller than average, then the North Node will be in there for a little bit of a shorter period. Well, anyway, people, first thing I'll look at, when the North Node transits our natal ninth house, this could be a period where we may feel a need to, might be a need to emphasize perhaps our higher education, perhaps things connected with publishing, abstract thinking. Perhaps we hadn't been attending to needs with our in-laws and grandchildren, if applicable, if you do have them. Then those things might need attention at this point in time, because the North Node in transit could be about areas that we need to address and confront in our lives. Now, keep in mind, when you have the North Node transiting the ninth house, of course, the South Node is transiting the third house. And this could be a time where you may need to get away perhaps from some communications that might have been, maybe they were detrimental to some degree. Maybe they took you on the wrong path. It was such as bad advice from somebody. It could be being inundated with a lot of information and really assimilating so much information that maybe it caused maybe some kind of maybe some mental chaos and a lot of ambivalence and indecision as a result. And when the North Node transits the ninth house, this is really about expansion. The ninth house does correspond with the sign Sagittarius, and it's kind of like getting out of that box from our own little confined neighborhood, the people that we're familiar with. It could be about maybe even getting away from siblings to a certain time, a certain period. But at the same time, one must keep in mind that when you have a transit, you have the North Node transiting a house, you don't want to take away, you're generally not going to want to eradicate everything connected with the South Node transit, but what you merely may be doing is maybe taking some of that South Node and incorporating it into the ninth house, but don't let the South Node be as dominant or strong as the North. The North Node transit is really what you need to focus on more, but the South Node, you could still incorporate some things with that into the ninth house, such as maybe like the ninth house is associated with long distance traveling abroad. Maybe if you have siblings, maybe you want to take them along with you, and you all can expand your horizons during this time, or maybe expand your traveling and really in understanding maybe other cultures in the process, I should say. So those are some things to look at as far as this transit goes. And this could be a time too where you look at the ninth house, it's associated with religion, and this could be a time where maybe if you hadn't been if you're involved in a religious or group or you're with a congregation or church, maybe you haven't been there as much as or invested the time in as you ordinarily have. It might be that time to go back and emphasize it maybe a little bit more than you had previously. Maybe there were some distractions from things connected with the third house, such as maybe transportation issues, maybe problems with your vehicle, for example, your car or your van or whatever vehicle you may have. And maybe there were some things that were maybe preventing you from maybe doing, emphasizing or accentuating the religious aspect of your life, and as far as maybe a church or congregation. Now, this could be a time where you look at the ninth house. It's also about abstract thinking, and really this could be a time where you may this could be something where you really may feel that need to emphasize that during this time. Keep in mind that the third house is associated with Gemini, and it could be more about superficial communications and maybe learning a lot of things on the surface. Where you go into the ninth house, it's more about broad subjects and learning and really studying broad concepts and subjects. So it's one of those things where you're kind of stepping out of the box and getting away from that south node and third energy to some degree. Maybe not eradicating it completely, but merely incorporating some of that into the ninth house energy. Now, this could be a time now for those of you that are, at the time that I'm making this video, the south node is in Pisces and the north node is currently in Virgo. So this could be a time where you might, as far as getting away from that south node, Pisces, and right now, if it's transiting your third house, this could be a time where you might, maybe it's getting away from convoluted, confused thinking and trying to assimilate too much at one time. It could be maybe some deception in communication you've experienced, and perhaps even deluding yourself into thinking that general communications was going to be the main way for you to learn. When reality is you have Virgo in the transiting the ninth house, the north node in Virgo in the ninth house. Is kind of that dose of reality and saying, okay, it's time now to learn. It's more about pragmatic learning, maybe analytical, being philosophical and analytical philosophy, perhaps maybe going into, maybe this is about also healthy long distance traveling with maybe a well Virgo organized travel plan. And maybe you might even go, if you're starting college and you're having the north node in Virgo transiting your ninth house, it could be something maybe Virgo-like with a lot of attention to detail, being punctilious with details as a requirement, such as data entry, computer programming, maybe even detailing on vehicles, or maybe even like something with information technology. I don't know if they do the detailing thing in college for that, but anyway, it's also important to look at the aspects, if any, that are made by this transit to your natal planets and points, as this could impact the transit. Now, let's say, for example, that transiting north node was making a conjunction to your natal Saturn. Well, this could indicate perhaps you may have an all-encompassing need to tend to responsibilities and perhaps even laborious work. Now, being in the ninth house, perhaps this could be somehow connected with in-laws, grandchildren, or maybe even something connected with publishing as well, as that is associated with the ninth house. Let's take another example. Let's say that transiting north node is making a sextile or trine to your natal Uranus. Well, this could be auspicious for incorporating ingenuity into that area of life that may need development. And being in the ninth, this could be perhaps tied in to perhaps maybe your philosophical outlook, and maybe something connected with higher education and perhaps that abstract thinking. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for the North Node transiting the ninth house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about the North Node transiting the 10th house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because in astrology, we are the sum of all the components in our natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.